So I'm starting this by saying we didn't win the Powerball. And I don't think anybody here, unless you're one of the $1 million winners, but there was no Powerball winner. But tonight's Mega Millions. So keep your wishes going. But good, it is afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you. So this meeting was one of these that I was ready to cancel because we really weren't. I've had a lot of end of fiscal year, beginning of fiscal year things going on. And then I said, we can't wait till October because there are so many different things that are going on, particularly, right? There's STEM campus, summer camps. There are activities, there's newsletters, there's grants, and this group really has been great for sharing of information. And again, sometimes when I doubt whether, hey, is this a good thing to do? Then I see all of you coming on and know that it's the right thing to do. So Megan had put up on the agenda, this is just a draft agenda, sounds like a lot, but it's not. But first and foremost, for those that are joining us late, please just add your affiliation and that would be helpful just so we know where folks are coming. So I am going to put my participant list aside, and Megan, either you or Elise can handle that. Is that good? Okay, awesome. Thank you. So communications. Megan and I were talking internally, thinking that we really would like to start by creating this newsletter of informing people, right? This group really is just a convener, making sure that people are in the know, knowing when deadlines, who could you be partnering with, get letters of support if you're applying for a grant, or just even some technical assistance, Marriott, or could be anybody. Who do I talk to about getting this in? I know that this group has been beneficial to even folks like New Heights Charter School, because I know that they had some applications and partnering. It's getting our institutions of higher learning and others, our educational facilities within this region to be talking to each other, and many of you are. But before I get, yes, perfect, Martine, that's a great question, and we're going to have that be held on for 1 second. But I first want to, again, as I said in my invite letter, was first and foremost to thank Brockton High School. The last meeting that we had there, I know many of you were by way of virtual, but for those of the, to hear from the students, to hear their excitement, I think all of us were inspired by hearing. I know those were 3 students of many, but that what both, David and Laura, both Dave and Dr. J do on a day-to-day basis. And again, thank you for the hospitality. And, David, we send our sympathies on your loss. But with that energy, right, then it's all of a sudden like I'm going through, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, people are sending me stuff. So everybody, first should have access to the Drive, Google Drive. What I would like to know, if those who are on today, please put in the chat to say, if you have it, great. If you don't have access to the Google Drive, put your name in the chat and we'll get you access. Reason why that's important is because, and this goes back to what, what was being asked, like, how do we invite other colleagues? What Martina had asked is, how do we invite other colleagues? And the idea is, you don't have to get permission from me. And thank you very much, Martina. I'm not sure if we had it either, but all of you are the team. And I think this is the part where having discussions, and, Matt, that's a really good question, but I was at a meeting with Matt last night from Good Samaritan and looking what they're doing on their campus and their plans. And it's going to be important that they make connections to, other institutions and the workforce board and others. So this really is truly that. It's the wheel, it's the boat. We're not the end all, but we want to make sure that all the connections and activities. So, if I'm going to start with the agenda that talks about the monthly newsletter, I would like to just send out just a once a month newsletter it's going to be Megan and Elise from OCPC who will be working on it, but be working as a team, about sending information out again, making sure like you are on the Mass Life Science newsletter. Not everybody is, right? Or if you are on the manufacturers, I'm not going to call it the right way, Lorraine, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Are you on a workforce, the South Shore Workforce Board and the Greater Brockton Workforce Boards newsletter list? They're always putting out newsletters. So we want to make sure people are getting the same information. What it does for me is that you don't have to get 3 emails from me. You can just get it directly from the source. But so the role, and I think really is to just send out a monthly newsletter. You can forward it. You can send us information. We can serve just as a catalyst and not have to wait till the next quarterly meeting to meet. So if you are good with that kind of communication, that would be great. Just, you can either do a thumbs up, you can do a wave, you can say yes, you can change your mind, you can say, nope, that's too much. But this is not to not have those organizations that are sending those newsletters not be looked at. We really just want to make sure that folks are getting it, and we will provide links on a monthly basis. So if you have your thoughts, you can either unmute yourself, you can put it in the chat, but I really wanted to make sure. And again, you know, when there is the graduation for the apprentice program, or there's other things, we have it could be a much more direct. So perfect, Jason, that's awesome. So that's what we're going to do on OCPC's website. We're going to, again, put these recordings. So then, all of a sudden you can, without having to share everything, we just want to, have some information so folks can, again, we're doing a much more aggressive outreach to our region. So we have our 17 communities. If you're just outside those communities, doesn't mean you're not going to, but it goes from Plymouth, and I know Stephen Cole is on today, and it goes to Easton, Stoughton, Avon. So we have those 17 communities, and want to make sure that we're, again, identifying and inventorying and knowing where our businesses and our institutions of higher learning and what courses are being done and what certification courses are being done. So that's the next piece that we're going to be doing between now and October. The Google Drive, again, will have more specific for coalition members. And then John Fay is helping us with this listserv. So John Fay is going to be able to walk us through this. This is just to get to the Google Drive. Am I right, Megan?
No, this is a new listserv that.
Okay.
Yep. So John, I know, do you want to share your screen? I know I need to make.
Sure.
Mary, you just need to make him a co-host.
Okay. I'm doing it right now. John,
Perfect.
So John Fay is from the City of Brockton, the planning department.
One moment, I'm trying to pull it up here myself.
Oh, I got to stop sharing.
Technical. Okay.
Do you want to continue now?
You do.
Here we go. Sorry.
Where's
John, you need to do a podcast if you don't do one already.
His voice, right?
Not the first time I've heard that. All right, let me try to share this.
Martina didn't say that about mine. Maybe that was like nails on a chalkboard, right?
Right, I'm hoping that we can see this.
Yes.
Okay, so this is going to be a super quick slideshow. So a listserv is, let me see here. I don't know how to start them on Google. I'm gonna start
Slide. If you go on
the right side, where it says slideshow. Teamwork.
Thank you so much. Makes the dream work. So a listserv is basically, it's an older tool, but a very, very useful tool. It compiles everyone's emails into one centralized location so that when you email a particular, this listserv email, it'll then go out to everyone who is on the listserv without having to individually add each person. So you subscribe yourself, and then you will be passively connected to everyone else who is in this group. So we used a free list server just because it's free, and that's the best price. So we're freelist.org. And if you if you search Brockton area STEAM in this search bar right here, then it will bring up this. It is our Brockton area STEAM page. And then all you have to do so is enter your email and subscribe. And that's it. It's literally just that easy. And when you want to send a message to anyone who is on, you would just send it to this Brockton area STEAM at freelist.org. You will get anything that anyone posts. I am going to have some basic etiquette rules and whatnot, try to keep things pertinent to what we're speaking of. No commercial things, basics. But yeah, and then you can even go in and read if you're not paying as much attention as you may like to your email inbox. You can always go in and look at all the messages that have been sent in an archive. And then, yeah, it's just a really good and easy and passive, I think, is the best part about this, is that you don't have to be as active a user. The messages will come to you. Us planners, we planners, I'm sorry. We have a mass planners listserv, and it's been an unbelievably useful tool. And we get emails from planners around the state all day, every day, asking for tips, etc. And I found it to be a very useful thing. And I think we would also benefit from its use.
So John, my only comment, because I know that you and Megan were going back and forth on this, since we also have communities from Plymouth, so that is not a Brockton area STEAM. And I just want to raise that as a flag. While it's many of us on this call right now are from Brockton area, but from the Old Colony Planning Council, it is a regional, and it also includes Plymouth. I'm just going to say that. So I don't know.
No, and that's fair. And I think maybe a rebranding of what we're calling this may be in order, because I thought we
always have
calling it Brockton area STEAM.
It's always been, nope, it's always been Old Colony Planning Council regional, not Brockton centric. So just needed to say that. I know that you
Noted.
yeah, that's okay. Well, you were doing some work, and I know that you were working particularly with the hospitals in this area. So the work that certainly the city of Brockton's doing, but we'll put that as a sidebar, just because I know Plymouth is on this. But let's, I think the idea.
Stick a pin in the Brockton area STEAM listserv, and I will do some renaming and get back to us on that.
But appreciate I think the idea is trying to make everybody's very busy lives not complicated. So does anybody else weigh in on this listserv? I think it's a great idea, John, and thank you for bringing that to our to this group as a way of, so I can say the word listservs. I've never knew exactly how to do them. So thank you for educating us. I don't know if anybody else did not know about it, but I certainly didn't either. But so thank you, John. I really appreciate that. Questions? Oh, Lorraine. Yep.
So can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. So quick question regarding this, just because you brought up Plymouth, and because I can imagine that there could be other organizations. Like, are you keeping it very specific to OCPC's region, or would it be something that could be more Southeastern Mass? I'm only asking, just thinking about our regional planning stuff and wondering if that might come into play at some point.
Right. So what Lorraine's talking about is that through the workforce, Secretary Jones, but there's the blueprints committee, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So I've been really careful about not stepping on toes. So I also know that Catherine Honey and the Connect Partnership has the Southeastern STEM group as well. I know a lot of it's focused, so I don't want to necessarily step on that, but on their
or have that. Yeah.
But I think that goes back with, again, having the ability to have the conversation, educate for those. Maybe if there's a maybe Lorraine, if you could put in the chat the link to what the blueprints is for Southeastern Mass, what we have so far, the last one that was created. So basically it's regional workforce boards, the regional planning agencies, Chamber of Commerce's, different folks just coming together and talking about the needs of the workforce in Southeastern Mass. The blueprints are all over the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It's something back in 2019, 2018, something like that.
2017, 2018. Yep.
Yeah, I've been at this for a long time, you guys. But but again, Ryan and others are on it. It's the workforce, right? There's a lot of I know that everybody here, whether it's universities or colleges or so that piece is really important. So if you could just put the blueprints, a link to the blueprints, so folks know about it, we'll put it also in the Google Drive.
Yep.
And back to the question about the geographical area. I never would say no to anybody wanting to join this group, right? That's because we have Old Colony Planning Council region. If someone is in Randolph, if they want to join this group, I think that's great. It does bring a point, and we want to again reassure that we're not looking to step on toes. It really is just a catalyst for bringing folks together to share information, to support each other, and then maybe even educate, right? That what other things are going on within not only the Commonwealth, but funding from federal government. So for right now, because Old Colony Planning Council is doing the work behind it, I will say it's our region, which I know covers Mass Higher, Greater Brockton, and some of the South Shore workforce. But I would say invite who you'd like to, and we'll keep plugging them along. Again, the idea is to listen in, take that information, share with your colleagues. So other questions? So we'll stick with the listserv. We've got a lot of people on today. I'm like looking at this. Sorry, it just took me back. When like 2 days ago, we had like 7 people signed up. So this is great.
Mary,
Megan,
can I ask you a question real quick?
Martina, yep.
I might have just totally not heard it or missed it, but logistically, if I want to invite someone to be part of this group, I know I can get them on a listserv, but how could they be invited to meetings like this?
So in your case, Martina, right? Fred Clark came to our second meeting when we were at New Heights.
Mhm.
And I remember talking with Fred, and I, didn't know where to start. I know that Kristen Porter Utley is no longer. I know she moved on to Fitchburg. I actually wasn't sure who the new dean might be, but I'm glad that you're there and you're
Interim for now, yes.
Well, I'm glad to see that. So, right. We actually have a Mass Hire intern working for us, and her job is to go onto each of the universities, colleges and universities to look at, what their programs are. Mass Hire, when I was working at Bridgewater State, we did a little bit of that for manufacturing, and then we also did that for the healthcare field. Ideally, we were looking at who to contact, and we want to bring folks in there. So now that you're on, Martina, we would love to work with you. I used to know many of the faculty members. I know there's some new ones, but the idea is to you as the university, and it will be Katie from Massasoit, and it will be, certainly Dave and Dr. J from Brockton High School, who are going to know who you need to bring on these. It's summertime, so academics are not necessarily kind of in the way of a lot, but it's still things are going on. It's just when we get to, I really would be reliant upon each of you as a point of contact to vet out for us. And just what I would like, if you could, is before you just add them to the list, send me and CC Megan from my office on an email to say, these are the people that we'd like. And that way we'll make sure we'll do everything that we can to update the list and keep them on, however you want to do that. So I think there we go, like Jenny Eisenman, right? So Jenny was part of, when I was going through the access to the directory, I would Google chemistry department. I would Google biology, you know, when I obviously about case, so I was looking at some faculty members and looking at department heads. So I was doing it the hard way. The easier way would have been for me just to pick up the phone to you, Martina, and just vet those out. So
So sending you the email and the name of the person is sufficient?
that would be more than sufficient.
Okay. All
And
right, thank
what
you.
we'll do is then once we do that, we'll also send a link to the Google Drive, which will have all the documents so they can take a look at what's been, what we've been talking about for the last year.
Got it. So Megan, you got that email in the chat? Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Katie, any questions on the same since it's academic, right? And I don't know if I have anybody from Stonehill on today. Again,
I'm-
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'll save that email link and then share it out with.
Perfect.
folks that
Thank
are
you.
interested.
And it will be helpful. Again, like I said, we did the same thing with Stonehill. It was interesting from my old institutional research days at Bridgewater State. I would dig into this and I would be like, look at all these courses, like who knows about them? Do the businesses know about it? How do we connect the companies and the businesses and workforce development? And right, like this is kind of what I feel what we're doing. Particularly, and if there are, local community colleges that the students from area high schools who have that background, need to find an institution of higher learning to go to, then, it's already ready to be teed up. So questions, comments? Megan, would you mind putting up the agenda again one more time? And while she's doing that, you can see the depth of the folks that are on the meeting today. We have Signature Healthcare, we have Good Samaritan, we have Brockton Neighborhood Health Center, I've got West Bridgewater, Town of West Bridgewater, City of Brockton. It's a very great group of folks, and do a deep dive on this. So what I'm having right here next is, so we've got the communications. So who's on the list? So Megan, yeah. So we started going into what we started to do, is looking at, this is in the drive.
Oh, sure, they could be in here. And that goes down as an effort, but he's not going to be remembering fondly.
Adding here, can we do a mute? Thank you. Again, this is in the Google Drive. These are the folks, the contacts that we have. I already started going through. I started going through this list myself and saying, oop, there's a few people that are moved on. Right, and that's going to happen with any kind of group that we get together. This is the list. This is the foundation of who gets invited. And Megan, if you could take the link and put it into the chat, because then we'll have about 35 people go into it, but please take a look at it, right? There's people like from the Southfield, because they have a growth going on. Oops, here we go. Thank you. But it's all broken down into, looking for, private businesses and just being acknowledged who's in our region. So I'm going to actually ask you to stop sharing while I'm having you do 10,000 things, Megan, sorry, and go back to the agenda. Thank you. So in the list, please take a look at those. The question I think I have more is who's missing. So those are all the folks that get invited. I already started a list about 10 people that Megan knows them, that she hasn't had a chance to update the list yet. But again, if you have the ability to go in and change, but for me, what I'd like to do is if you are able just to have it be centralized for right now to Megan, because she'll be updating, or the staff will be updating that list along the way. Does that make sense for folks in terms of a strategy? And then, so that leads into, looking for the October meeting. We were looking to have Jared Auclair from BioConnect to come and present. He's a busy guy and he's traveling all over the place, but again, we were looking to have it be in person. Mass Hire has offered their facility. I think not only think I know their facility because it's just a block, I can throw a softball up that way, but it's just an amazing facility and what they're doing, not just only for adults, but for young adults. And so I think physically it's a great place. You don't have to be here in person. We'll still make sure that it's a virtual meeting, but the idea is to really see how mass hires within not just only this region, but across the Commonwealth are working with businesses and organizations to really find and the human capital as well to get connected to each other. So the question became, so we had a little bit of a time frame. So we were scheduled, it's on, so we have meeting invites that have been sent out. So the next one's scheduled for October 21st. And I'm just going to tell you, that's my birthday. I'm not going to be around. So I'm going to be up north. But we're going to be sending out, I think, a maybe a meeting doodle, you know what I mean? Just to get some dates. We have time, but believe it or not, my office, I've already scheduled things all the way through December, and I'm sure all of you have well. So will that work? Since we have so many of us, I'd like to try to stick to these quarterly. Again, with the in-between. So like when I'm looking at Pat Monteith from the library and the makerspace. So when you have a flyer, Pat, right, there'll be that opportunity to send it to the listserv directly. So then you don't have to go for me waiting to get out of the meeting to send an email out. You can just go directly. Or Ryan, I know that a lot of us are on your newsletters, but even if there is like a special event, you know, there's a lot of buzz and there's a lot of interest in Southeastern Mass. And I think that this is why we have people from Plymouth and the Plymouth Foundation, both Paul and Stephen on here today. So questions, comments about the October meeting? Doesn't look like it, right? So if not, we'll do the doodle poll. We'll send that out. We'll try to find the best date. We're going to work first with Jason as the host of Mass Hire, as the host of the event. And then I know that Megan, you're working with Jared on his availability. Again, it can be done virtually as well as in person, but I'm going to highly recommend we do something in person. So if there are no questions about the October meeting, what I'd like to do is ask for folks to just do a shout out about the things you're doing. I'm going to start with, let's say, let's start with you, Pat Monteith, and the work that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm spending a lot of time taking the planetarium out to various places. As a matter of fact, I was over at the STEM conference for girls this past Saturday. And in another week and a half, I'll be going to the Fall River Elementary School summer program. And that was after we celebrated our first anniversary of the planetarium on, what was it, June 20th. And one of the things that actually surprised me is we've had over 1,500 people go through that planetarium in the first year.
That's amazing.
So it's amazing. People are still reaching out to me, largely the elementary schools in the whole region, which is wonderful. And as long as it fits my schedule, I'm able to do it. I have a great piece of information, and that is that the Brockton City Council has approved a part-time position for the makerspace.
Wow.
And I think that position will be open in another month or early fall, whichever way we can get it through the city. And it's to help out in the makerspace as well as with the planetarium.
That's
So,
great. Congratulations, Pat.
Job description. Yeah, I'm really thrilled about that.
That's amazing, Pat. And again, right, the need out there. So when was the STEM conference for girls?
This past Saturday,
When
down
was-
at Bristol College,
Wow,
Bristol Community College's Taunton campus.
awesome.
We were
Thank-
there and it was a huge hit, I have to say. Pat, yours was the most popular by far. I'm just sorry about the temperature. It was really,
No, it was great. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Pat. So those would be kind of the things, even, even you would think that many of the folks here might know about the STEM conference for girls. Not that I would be going, but that certainly would be some great interest just to know and to help spread the word. I'm sure that it was at capacity, if not oversubscribed. So Katie from Massasoit would update about things that you're doing. I know there's a lot going on.
Sure. I actually saw Ryan on the call. I just lost the graphic, but we are trying, as Ryan knows, Mass Life Science Center has been huge in supporting our interns, and we have some wonderful interns this summer. We have a group that actually, they're sitting right outside now from Southeastern, and they came to the Girls in STEM conference and presented this weekend. So it was awesome. I wanted to clear up any confusion as to my notes about the biotech certificate. I think Michael Bankson has shared this, but we're still working on reactivating the 4-credit biotech certificate, but we do have students who are coming through our biology and chemistry degree programs who are looking to get jobs in biotech. So we have a non-credit CRN already up on the books. And so we're offering for students who have reached the end of their degree requirements and would like to pursue an entry-level job in biotech. We are creating a sort of credentialing non-credit course that the students will take for as long as it needs till they reach proficiency. It's sort of based on the badging model. We're trying to build it up again, but that's kind of up and going starting this fall. And then we have a meeting right after this with an organization from Brockton to expand out our community gardens, because we have the sustainable landscaping here and the pollinator project. So that's another big thing we're looking to do, with hopefully a federal grant going in December to support more research. So
That's great. Who's the community group here in Brockton?
I have to go, this is awful. I have to look, let me just mute and I'll go find it. My
No
mind's
worries.
in 20 different things.
But Katie, before you go too as well, but even your conversation, right? We want to make sure that Southeastern Tech is at the table, right?
Yes,
Or
yes.
I didn't have to go look back at the list, but as you're.
Heather Stoddard, I'm not sure if she's on the list, but she's who we've been working with.
Yeah, I will have to double check the list, but those, right, so as you're working with folks, right, I see, Boys and Girls Club around here because I know the work that they're doing in their lab and making sure that all organizations, this is not just government, this is not just higher ed, this is not just regional planning agencies, it's all of us coming together and supporting each other and promoting. So thank you. Anybody else, just put your hand up and just unmute yourself if you want to talk about. I'm going to throw it to you, Ryan.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. So great to hear that update, Katie. Thank you so much for sharing that. So we're very excited to be supporting internships for high school students at Massasoit. And also college students from Massasoit. We have our college internship program as well. But I just want to share with folks a lot of you are familiar with our internship programs. If you're not, please check out our website. But I do want to share a new program, a new initiative that MLSC is about to launch. It's already been authorized by our board of directors, called Pathmaker. And so this is something you'll be hearing a lot about. This actually falls under Mass Talent, which is a new initiative announced by the governor not too long ago, actually at the Bio Convention, which is the largest biotech convention in the country, in the world, that was actually hosted here in Boston in June. So we announced this new Pathmaker initiative. It's funding that's going to be essentially non-capital dollars, which we haven't been able to do historically, to support things like wraparound services and things like that for participants in biotech training programs. There's a couple tracks that are, so there's 3 tracks essentially. There's biomanufacturing, there's advanced manufacturing for med tech, and then there's like a third open track. So we're inviting all training programs to submit requests for funding for that program. And more information will be made available. But I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that's coming down the pike. And this is really a program that will complement our longstanding capital programs that have supported training programs. The slight difference, though, is that the Pathmaker program is really focused on industry partnerships. So there will need to be a company that is working very closely with the training provider to design a curriculum and then essentially commit to at least interviewing those participants after they go through the program. There's also a preference given to the programs that are short term. So we're thinking 8 weeks would be kind of what these programs. So we're looking to stand up new training programs essentially too. So it's not just the existing programs. So if there's an industry aligned short-term training program where these funds could be helpful to pay for stipends, for example, for the participants, it should be tuition free. So lots of details on that will be made available soon, but just something to keep an eye out for. And while I mentioned our capital programs, we just announced we didn't make the formal announcement yet, but we just approved the awards for our FY24, sorry. And I just want to note that for the first time, we're providing grants to East Bridgewater public schools. This is their first time applying and their first time receiving a grant. So congratulations to them. We will be making a big public announcement at some point in partnership with the administration. So look out for that. But East Bridgewater is among the awardees for our STEM equipment programs. That's our high school, middle school program. And then on the higher ed side, we also are making an award to Bridgewater State University. So we're excited about that. And and I forgot to mention Stoughton. So Stoughton, part of the Old Colony region, right? So for the first time, we'll be providing funding to support the schools in Stoughton. It's not a direct grant; it's actually through the Mass Bioed Foundation. So the funding will be funneled through the Mass Bioed Foundation. They'll be providing the curriculum and the teacher training. So they're the curriculum provider and the professional development provider for the teachers. So the funding will be funneled through them. But it is the first time we'll be supporting the Stoughton Public Schools as well. So really excited about that. And those programs are running. We run those programs every year. So if your schools are interested in applying next round, the application period will open in December for higher ed and then January for middle schools and high schools.
How do you top that? That's a lot of great information,
Sorry,
Ryan.
I feel like I took up way too much time.
No, but that isn't actually, I think for those, right, I'm looking at John Fay because I know that he's been working on some things over on the north side of the city of Brockton that abuts Stoughton. So it's really is great information, and particularly East Bridgewater. And I can see of our, institutions of higher learning as well. So thank you. Never apologize. And, again, subscribe to the Mass Life Science newsletter. It is always informative, and I'm trying to figure out always how to cut and paste all the things that are in there, Ryan. So thank you. Thank you into the team. So I know that Jackie from Arts, thank you. If you just unmute yourself, Jackie.
Yeah, thank you guys. So in April, we had our STEM day at Fenway, which was really great. We partnered with We Steam Ahead. I'm sorry for the background noise. I'm outside instead of being inside with the students, but essentially, like, that was great. Like, it was for our first time at the Red Sox Fenway, and it was an amazing turnout. And right now we are in the middle of our summer program. We started 2 weeks ago for interested artists, so young artists that are in middle school and in high school, where they get to showcase at our annual showcase that's happening August 19th, their talents. And we bring the A into STEAM. So we are the Arts Foundation Academic Artists Reaching Towards Success, and we'll be launching our second after school program in September. And we did the 14 weeks with New Heights from January to April. I'm gonna put in the chat our newsletter, but we still have 15 slots open for students that are artistically inclined. So please send them our way. And that's it on what we got going on. Thank you.
Just a few things, Jackie, right? It's you are actually the reason why, because you've been consistent in showing up to these meetings, why we really do want to keep this as STEAM. It's important to the young adults, but it's also for the discussion that we're having today. So we really appreciate you and for this update. I know that Martina had to leave. She's just I actually want to just take just a sidebar. So 2 years ago, I walked the Signature Healthcare Cancer Walk, the Sullivan Cancer Walk. And for most of the whatever miles it was, 4.5 miles, I walked with this young man. At that point, I think he was 11. Such an articulate young man, and had conversations with the other people I'm working on. And I had, at the end of the walk, I said, "Where's your mom? I got to talk to your mom." And I just said, "What a wonderful young man you are, and how you have taught your son." And I said, "Here's my cell phone number." I said, "He wants to be an entrepreneur one day, and I don't know what I can do, but let's connect." Well, recently she frantically called me. She said she's been working. Hadn't had the time to find a camp for her son. And I reached out to Jackie, and she found a way of space for him. Mom lives in East Bridgewater, dad lives in Brockton. It was right. It just happens. And Jackie was able to accommodate. And I know you won't be sorry for having him on, because if was at 11 years old and now he's 13 years old, I think he is. He was the most mature, articulate young man. And if our future relies on our young people, high schools, middle schools, through whatever, we are in a good place. So thank you, Jackie, and for the work that you do. Any other shout outs? I'm looking at, how about Plymouth, Stephen or Paul? I know the foundation is working hard, and there's always a conference that you're holding. That would be great to hear from you, if either one of you would like to chat.
Right now we're working on getting the Blue Futures Conference started up, which is basically trying to get like build up the marine economy in Plymouth, and try to get kids involved in like becoming entrepreneurs in the town of Plymouth, to build up the marine economy, basically.
Right. Thank you, Paul. So when you have that information, when you're ready to share, you'll be able to share it with this group. Really appreciate. I know that, while Brockton is on one side and Plymouth on the other side, it still is Southeastern Mass. And, again, convening and getting folks together is really important. So thank you for being on the call today. I don't see any other hands raised for anybody else that would like to chat. Brockton High School, David, Laura. I know I'm going to call out. I promise you, I won't call you out if you're not ready to chat, but I do know that there's so many different things that you're working on now, the academic year. As much as we're sitting on July 20th, the academic year is coming fast down the pike. But, again, we'll continue to have the dialogue, again, with our partners from our healthcare partners, along with our institutions of education, as well as Boys and Girls Club. Kate Messier, you're on this. Do you have anything that you want to share, or just you're in talk about being in full stride over at with camps at the Boys and Girls Club? She might be busy. All right. I told you it was going to be a short meeting today. Anything else? Shout outs. So everybody's going to stand by. I'm going to actually, John, if you could just stay on for a minute so we can talk about the naming of this, how difficult it might be to change or not, but you will all be updated. And then when it's a go, get into that. We'll do a formal, this is the right link to the listserv. Please utilize that. And then we'll be doing those newsletters throughout the month. So thank you, and stay cool, everybody. And maybe you'll all win Mega Millions today. Have a good day. Thank you.
Mary.